the truth.
I'm Jim Price, the Jim Price Show Daily Update. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Oh, the government tells me everything I need to know because they're the bestest ever. Right, government? You would never lie to me. We're going to call it July 30th. It's a Thursday, trash day here at the Price House 2026. Well, guys, thank you so much for being a part of the show. Yes, today is trash day, so remember that. Jim, how's it going today? Hope really well. Yeah, it's a little bit cooler day here today, and in Wichita, it was nicer out there working on a couple projects. Didn't sweat quite as profusely as usual, but, you know, sweating is part of the yin and yang of life, so we accept those as part of the deal. So when we struggle, we know that we actually will have something on the other side. Again, do we forget that that's how muscles are built? We have to work, and then the muscles do come, and that is a thing. All right, now, I named today's episode 111, and not because of any other reason except for just Fauci and his stupidity and motion display yesterday of being able to say, on the advice of counsel, I am going to plead the Fifth Amendment like my lawyer told me to, and I'm going to say it at 111 times. And so that is what we're up against, guys. That's the sad part of this is. Our sad part of the situation. Now, there are things coming up that are part of... Now, listen. Okay, listen. I did not talk much about the penalty phase or what was going on with the idea why it was so important that Fauci was continuing to go ahead and say over and over again, I plead the Fifth, I plead the Fifth. Now, come on, don't do this to me. Summary of the enforceable rules after a pardon. Privilege against self-incrimination for pardon. Federal offense is gone. Okay, Brown versus Walker. Refusal to answer pertinent questions after being ordered to do so potentially is 2 USC 192. Contempt. Misdemeanor fine 1 to 12 months. Answering falsely under oath 18 USC 1621. Perjury. And that is would be litigated at a criminal referral is made and prosecuted. So again, that part of it can get out of hand. So like I was talking to some folks today about this, is that this penalty phase of what's getting ready to happen. Now he said over and over and over again, I'm not going to say anything. But the problem is as soon as he says, I accept this pardon, the primary law he is potentially violating by refusing to answer under the Fifth Amendment claim is rejected due to the pardon. Is criminal contempt of Congress under 2 USC 192. Every person who, having been summoned as a witness by the authority, either House of Congress, to give testimony or to produce papers upon any matter under inquiry before either House or any joint committee established by a joint or concurrent conclusion of the two houses of Congress. So the misdemeanor is $500,000 and up to 12 months. I'm sorry, $100,000 for each offense and 12 months. So 111 of them, that's a lot of money. It's a lot. That's 111 times 100,000. So, and then that's 111 months. I don't think this guy's going to get out of there. I think he's going to have himself. Now, by the way, guys, this whole thing creates a cascade of problems for him because what is going to happen? Well, he's going to have civil litigation on him. Now, I understand he has some types of immunity for certain things, but the civil part of it is absolutely where I think it's going to come apart because everybody who didn't take ivermectin, everybody who didn't take HCQ, everybody who took the shot, everybody who was not able to go to their grandma's or grandpa's funerals. I have a specific memory. What did I do with that? Wow. What did I do with that? Oh, here it is. Okay. Whew. Okay, so let me give you my COVID story real quick. And this is the closest I have come to having I've come to having a COVID death. This was from a friend of mine. And I have kept it around here. I had it out in the shop on the table because I was doing I was starting to write in it. I was starting to journal, like kind of like Fauci did. And I was just gonna journal certain things about, kind of how things are going. And my friend made this for me. And he put his stamp in there, and it says Andrew Cookson Leather. And he did this. He took the pieces of leather, he molded them, he aged them, he got them all, he stained them, he sewed all this together, got this buckle, riveted on here for me, did all this, put the little, the corner protectors and stuff on it, and Andrew Cookson made this for me. Now, Andrew Cookson was a hell of a guy, and I wish I would have been able to spend more time with him, and I really do blame myself for not having spent more time with Andrew. Andrew was a hell of a man, and I probably need to reach out to his wife again. She was a very, very, very quiet woman, and I'm not sure, how she handled everything. But I didn't know what to do for her, and I wasn't sure. I had so much going on. When all this was going on, when Andrew gave me this, he came to my house. He said, "No, Jim, I got something I got to get to you. I want you to have this. There's something I have, and I want you to have it." And so he showed up, and he gave me this book, and it's this binder here. And I miss him. Now, I didn't know what happened, but things were going on with the Cooksons that I didn't know things that had gone on. And the next thing you know, I can't get a hold of Andrew, and I find out that he has passed in Springfield, Missouri, because they moved him from Wichita, because Wichita said they couldn't handle his breathing complications, that they wanted to put him on remdesivir, and they wanted to do all these other things to him, and they killed him. They killed my friend Andrew Cookson. And Andrew, there's not too often I don't think of you, especially when I see that notebook, and I really do miss him because he was a hell of a patriot. He'd be the guy who would stand up at the school board meetings. He'd be the guy at the county commission meetings. He'd be the guy at the city council meetings. He would have been the guy that would have stood in the gap the way that we all should. And Andrew Cookson is a friend of mine, and I will miss him. But they killed him because of COVID. And I don't have a personal liability or personal effect other than it was my friend. But Andrew made this for me, and I will miss him for that and for the man that he was. And I hope his son's doing well. And maybe I should reach out to him. I almost had that. I'm having this horrible thought now. I should have been reaching out all along, but I didn't know what to do. And I was dealing with my court case stuff. And guys, you don't realize a lot of what was happening when the very beginning of my show, I was dealing with the courts. I was dealing with, people calling me a lot of things and people not associating with me anymore and walking away from me in a lot of ways. And I lost social groups and a lot of things. And during that time, I was going through not only my own stuff, but then I had Marge and Charlie's thing. See, Marge and Charlie were getting very ill and very fragile, and I had to move them out of their facility into a different one. And then, I had the whole thing with COVID. Then I had Andrew, and I had, my court case, and I had my show, and I had all these things were constantly just going on. And I will tell you, I felt like I was just running behind all the time. But I will tell you, at the end of the day, it was all worth it. What a great, great experience to be able to have lived through all those things and tell you all about it. But I will tell you right now, that a man who didn't take any vaccines, but yet they found a way to get remdesivir and liquefy his organs from the inside where he drowned in his own fluids. They killed my friend Andrew Cookson for what? For some FEMA dollars when they had every time you get a death, you get FEMA dollars. Remember that, guys? Remember FEMA dollars for death? Hey, for all you get somebody dies, you get extra money. Remember that? Remember Medicaid and Medicare were giving out extra money for COVID deaths? Do you remember this? Like, this is the world we live in, where people were getting bonuses on the deaths they had. Anyway. Hey, Kevin Stevens, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. So let's continue on. There are a few things in the news today, and a lot of it is just kind of, here's the thing. I don't know. Let me give you my observation of stuff. I do not know why that this election season is so very quiet. Now, I don't know if you guys understand what I mean by that, but it is so very quiet outside, or out there in the political world of things. It's almost like it's an off year. Not like it's a midterm elections coming up, because remember in Trump's first term, during the primaries, remember we had the pipe bomber from Florida. 8 years ago, we had the pipe bomber from Florida. 6 years ago. 2, 4, 8 years ago. So, the pipe bomber, remember he was sending pipe bombs to Nancy Pelosi, and George Soros and Hillary Clinton's office got it, and the DNC got one, and then it was this van that they were pulling this tarp down off of this van because it had all these Trump stickers all over it, all these bumper stickers, just thousands of them everywhere, hundreds of them. Think about this. We're talking about a time right now where at this exact time years ago, people were actually being paid bonuses for deaths. Do you remember that part, right? You remember that part of it, right? During this time, we had a pipe bomber sending out pipe bombs, telling the world that they're trying to stop AOC from the new Green Deal. Remember that whole thing? See, AOC was just going into her first re-election. See, she had already been in a whole thing, and now the new Green Deal was her thing, remember? But what was the thing they were pushing? Impeachment, 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 right? See, we didn't get impeachment till next year. We didn't get impeachment right away. They had to get a whole year built up into it, and then that's when they tried. That's when they tried it. Remember that? So they did 2 impeachments, one right after another. So that's coming up. Now, guys, I have seen information. I have seen certain things out there that there is going to be a very large swing in the House. I have seen information that seems to make a lot of sense to me. I think I get it. But what I'm pointing out is that there's a lot of these seats that I think are going to get flipped, and there seems to be some type of I don't want to say a reckoning or whatever it is you want to talk about, how you want to say that, but there are things showing that the Republicans can actually do this. And the fact that the Democrats... Now, I remember that whole thing when I told you guys I had a meme from 10 years ago or 8 years ago that I got shadow banned and all kinds of other stuff from? Remember that whole thing? Well... I put it up as a post on Facebook and other places, and I tell you what, it seems like it makes a lot more sense that how do I want to say? I said that backwards. When you look at that post and you look at that looks like, and you see that post and you say, okay, why were we shadow banned or why were we banned or told we weren't able to do this, that, and the other thing on different social media platforms when this is everything that they said they were doing, and they're still doing it. Everything that they said they were doing. This is everything that they said they weren't doing, but they were doing. That's what I was trying to say. Man, I gotta get better on that. Okay, here we go. This is the DNCs. Look, right here. This is what they said. Democrat platform for year 2020. Now, by the way, guys, listen. We're in 2026. This is 6 years later, okay? I remember when I put this out in 2020, I got beat up all over the place on social media platforms. So here we go. Socialism, kill babies, raise taxes, open borders, defund military, take away guns, weaken economy, defend illegal aliens, suppress free speech, reparation for slavery, remove electoral college. Anybody? Like, I was pumping this around in 2019. It was one of the, and I put it out there, and that's one of the things I got beat up for. I mean, it's like, what are we dealing with, guys? So after 8 years of me being all this, I'm still accurate, even though they kept saying I was wrong and kept saying I was this or I was that. But in reality, I was right. I wasn't whatever it is, the names that they try to call me. Things we do for fun. What are you doing now, computer? Okay, there we go. The Fauci thing, by the way, again, everybody got on the board with the Fauci thing. Everybody's been, beating that all to death 1,000 different ways. But here's one thing that we all missed out yesterday, which I do believe Fauci could have been a hell of a hero in a moment. He could have basically said, listen, Uncle Barry said this, Uncle Joe said that, Aunt Hillary said this, the CIA said that, the FBI said this, the Mossad told me to do this, Ukraine told me how to do it over here, and then here's where all the bodies are buried. He could have come out and just said, here's where it all is. Could have been a big old, just a chart, or a picture, or a string board, or whatever it was, and he could just laid it all out. Said, guys, listen, you don't have to go looking anymore. Here's all the answers you need. I'm a dead man anyway, so you might as well, let's just do it. He could have got up there and really spilled the beans and just got it right. He could have made himself the hero. But that's the problem, right? When the ego's heavily involved, when your ego won't let you be wrong, you sure can't get it right. Well, Europe is burning. Large wildfire rages 3 miles from a nuclear power plant. Do you know what, guys? Do you know that nuclear power plants are built to withstand a nuclear bomb? You know that, right? Like, that's what that whole dome, that big concrete dome is all about. It's not about keeping it in. It's about keeping things out, like things that don't. So, yeah, guys, it's dual purpose, but most of it is really for the fact that you just don't want things getting in. This is what I wanted to read here. Houthis in Iran conflict, asymmetric warfare, unlikely surrender. I'm going to see what this article is about here. And this has got one of our new ships out there. On July 20th, the Houthis declared a naval blockade against Saudi Arabia and the Red Sea. Retaliation for what they called a Saudi siege on Yemen. The group's formal entry into the wider U.S.-Iran war. Days later, the Houthis claimed missile and drone strikes on the Saudi tanker Ansila and Layla. Saudi authorities confirmed that the Encilia was hit with the crew safe, while the Layla strike remains unconfirmed. Saudi Arabia briefly suspended oil shipments through Bab el-Mandab on July 26, resuming them the following day after coalition protection measures were put in place. The United States possesses the world's most powerful military, and the U.S. Navy is the dominant maritime force. Yet, when confronting Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard in the Strait of Hormuz, or Iran blockade Houthis in the Red Sea, particularly around the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, the U.S. faces an asymmetric challenge. The Houthis cannot mount a flotilla capable of confronting a U.S. carrier strike. Instead, they rely on asymmetric tactics like exploit the geography of the region. Mine drones, This is really not. This is kind of confusing what they're trying to say here. Houthis are one of the three primary proxy forces. Okay, now this is what I don't like about. And it's taken me a while. I don't know if you guys actually put much thought into this, but because like there's ISIS and there's Al Qaeda, and then we got the Houthis, and we got the Durgigus and the Gubagas and the Miam 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 and blah 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 blah, all the other ones, right? Guys, you know how we have America, and then we have like gangs on the street. The sad part of it is like we have America and the armed forces, and we have the police department, and then there's gangs. Now, the sad part of it is some countries pay other countries' gangs to go fight other countries, like mercenaries. That we don't talk that way in America because most of that stuff we really don't do like they do it over there. There's a lot of people who get born into mercenary work. That's all they think about. That's all they do is just going and doing dirty work for governments. And that's a very common thing over there. So that's why, for me, I'm trying to read this. You know, the Houthis are one of the primary three primary proxy forces backed by Iran. So in other words, there are three different gangs or military mercenaries that go out and get paid to do military things for countries that countries say, well, I didn't do it. It wasn't me. It was those stupid Houthis over there that I pay. They're the horrible ones. But how did they get paid, and then how do they continue to get paid? So Yemen's territory and tribal structure has historically frustrated larger, better-equipped militaries. Egyptian intervention in the North Yemen Civil War, 1962 to 70, is the clearest example. President Nasser deployed nearly 70,000 troops in support of the Republic government. Commitment Nasser himself described to the U.S. ambassador as his Vietnam. Saudi Arabia and the United Emirates encountered a similar pattern from more recently leading a coalition against the Houthis beginning in 2015 that failed to dislodge the group from northern Yemen despite years of airstrikes and ground operations. See, this is the problem, guys, is that governments believe that the harder you push or the more you push down on people, the softer they'll get. And the sad part of it is that eventually people just get tired of being pushed down, and then eventually they spring back. And when they spring back, it's usually more violent than what it should have ever been. And so this is, again, one of those things where I look around and I go, okay, why is it that we have all these little gangs in America? Why do we have, well, first of all, that's because men seek out men. Men seek men's leadership. And it is very, very natural for us to get in groups of men and without any vote, assign one of them as the leader of the group. It happens. I don't care if it's a bunch of guys going down to Quick Trip, down to grab a couple sodas, there's still somebody in charge. It happens in a microsecond. It just does. There's a hierarchy created. There's gaffes and kidding going on and making fun of and humiliating and all this just to go down 2 miles down the street to Quick Trip and come back. And it'll be a whole thing. There'll have been an entire government created. There'll be an entire hierarchy of things. There'll be notes taken. People said certain things and come back and have stories to tell about it. Sad part of it is because there's not fathers at home and we don't do generational living where fathers teach the sons and the sons teach the grandson and the grandson teaches the great-grandson, and while the grandfather watches. See, that's where generational knowledge and legacy is really created, guys. You don't understand the value. You don't understand the value that has been lost in the fact that a grandfather will teach his son, and then as that son finds a woman, he will then teach his son about it. You know, hey, maybe you might want to watch out for her. She seems a little bit whatever. And then the son finds one and has children with him, and then the son gets to teach the children, and the grandfather gets to watch, and he gets to help a little bit. And then he gets to be a great-grandfather. Now his son is a grandfather, and he gets to watch his grandchildren while great-grandfather's watching the grandchildren as well. And they're all still working to make a better human being and create legacy and stories and value in the human experience, but we don't do generational living. Everybody has their own damn house. You guys want to you want to fix the housing process? You want to fix this whole housing crisis? We don't have anywhere to live. Oh, we don't have anywhere to live. Why don't you start putting bodies in bedrooms then? How many houses are occupied by one person, a 3, 4, 5, 10-bedroom house occupied by one person? Hell, this is a 4-bedroom house that I lived in by myself when I bought it. But think about if we actually had generational living in our homes, we wouldn't have to worry about the Houthis and the ISIS and ISIL and the Al-Qaedas and the boogas, right? Because as men, we stay in the home. Grandfathers and great-grandfathers and great-great-great-grandfathers, if they live long enough, get to stay in the same home that they built and watch generations of their grandchildren grow up there. What is wrong with that? See, my point of this is that we wouldn't have a lot of the things I think we have in this earth if we were just to leave the family structure alone, because at any point I could say that every bit of this tracks back to father issues. The lack of a father in the home. Not that the father was overbearing, none of that. Guys, listen. Father overbearing, father abusive, father drunk, father druggy does not have the same effect as absent father. Absent father is the most destructive of all. Period, hands down. Psychological studies, hundreds of years of it. Peer-reviewed, backed up by all kinds of, they'll tell you all day long, twice on Sundays. Without a man in the home, it is far more destructive than a man. Without a father in the home, that is far more destructive than a man who's abusive in the home. And the sad part of it is that society will not listen to it. Well, then she should stay there and get abused, Jimmy. Yeah, man, women should take it. Yeah, that's what, Jimmy said. That's what No, it's not what I said. Statistically, by a father staying in the home is far more likely to raise successful children by a greater rate than 70% success rate than if the father is gone. There's only less than a 30% success rate of being successful. If the father is gone out of the home, it's less than a 30% success rate. Sounds like a guaranteed failure rate to me. But we can't have those conversations, right? Because it gets too dirty. It gets too this. It gets too that. Well, that has nothing to do with politics and oil reserves over in Saudi Arabia. Yes, it does. Feminism, not femininity. Femininity sounds like something cool. Feminism sounds like I've got to get a shot for it. So, femininity softens the woman and allows her to take control of her entire existence with just a soft, breathy word. But women don't think that that's how it works. But as a woman nurtures her children and then fathers raise them, there's this balance that's created in the child, and the child becomes more articulate, becomes better, and becomes a leader and all kinds of stuff. And then as that child has a child inside the same home, and then that child has a child inside the same home, generations of knowledge and understanding and weirdness goes away, and yet we don't understand that we can now perpetuate knowledge through the families. But that's not how we talk in our society, right? We'd rather sit here and talk about how the Houthis and the Yemens and the Saudis and the Iranians and all the yabbas are going on. Let's hear this one here. Again, guys, you remember when, and this is actually, guys, we've all talked about this. The president will never have the security clearances that I had. Oh, now he may get information about certain things that I will never get, but the level of security clearances that the president had, I had higher than that. And yet we can't even have that conversation about the fact that our bureaucracy and the people within our government that are so deep, so dug in, that can never be extruded out of there. There's a lot of them who do put their weight on the scale to change the view or the actions of people. And this is what bothers me. And I think this article is one of those situations where I think that we are seeing that someone's asking a question only because it creates the controversy. Trump previously said that Xi Jinping had assured him that China would not provide weapons to Iran. According to Reuters, China was planning to provide shoulder-launched missile systems to Iran for 60 to 70 million. Iran would receive 300 to 400 man-portable air defense system in the coming weeks. So RPGs type deal. China has since denied the report. Well, China would never lie to us. What are you guys talking about? Things like that happen, but that would be surprising, Trump told reporters on Thursday when he asked about the report. Trump further stated that Chinese president told him very strongly he wouldn't partake, but he knows I'd be quite disappointed. Meanwhile, the U.S. has resumed airstrikes against Iran after an Iranian targeted U.S. troops in the Middle East on Tuesday. Now, wait, guys, listen, hold on a second here. Now, we were all emotionally involved about 9/11. I was one of them. I was in Paris at the time that we invaded back in whatever it was, 02 or 03, whatever it was. And my problem is that I remember that we were all about boots on the ground. We were all cheering on when we saw tanks blazing across the desert with the flag in tow and this dust rolling off the tracks of these tanks, and we saw the oil wells on fire and the guys who had to go put those oil wells out. In fact, they made documentaries and films and all kinds of cool stuff about these men fighting the fires out there in the middle of the desert. We've gone in and we've dropped a whole bunch of bombs all over a country that really we don't need to be a part of it. But yes, there is a religious aspect to this, so I'm trying to be forgiving on the fact that the actual Muslim regime that was pushing down on the government in Iran, that's the only reason I'm okay with this right now. Seriously, guys, that's it. I'm more about it because I want the people to be better. And the other thing is, I don't give two shits about Israel or any of that. I would have still said, yeah. I still would say, yeah, go in there and let the people have their country back. But we're not boots on the ground. We're not putting Delta Team or SEAL Team 6 or, such and such this or Army Detachment that, or we got the engineers showing up, the this is and that. No, we're not even doing any of that. And I'm trying to figure out how it is that no matter what it is, okay, I got an injury. This injury is so bad. I gotta go to the hospital and get it's gonna be a major surgery. I got an injury. I'm gonna die. Okay, it's just a hangnail, Jim. Well, I'm gonna die. Jim, you've had a massive heart attack. Your body's shutting down. Your organs, all that. I'm gonna die. What was the difference between the two? Nothing. The problem I have with our media is that it doesn't matter what it is. It's World War III. There's only a nuclear option with every single thing. We're at war, we're losing all the military's lives are at danger and everything has been horrible and the tragedies. Yes, there actually has been military personnel lost. But I think if I remember right, we lost millions in World War I and World War II and Vietnam and Korea. And all these different things we went in and did all these things for. These were huge battles that were in battle fronts. These weren't what we've been doing. These were battle fronts where the fronts were moved and changed daily because people took over ground. But yet our media only asked the question, did you drop the nuclear bomb? Xi Jinping gave him rocket launchers. Now what? Whoa. Okay. Let me ask you a quick question here. Do you think that our military aircraft can be downed by RPGs? Because that's all that's over there. Are planes that are at 30 and 40, 50, 60, 80,000 feet above the surface of the earth. And yet you're saying that they're the ones that these RPGs they're like, and it's going all the way up there to go get them? All right. Cool you, bro. I mean, I don't think that this is the situation that we all are talking about. And I don't like the fact that my media keeps talking about the fact that everything is the end all be all. Everything is the worst. Everything is the biggest. Everything is going to die. Everybody's going to be this. Everything's going to be that. Why can't we ask questions that don't create inflammation or people's discomfort to where we're creating a conflict? See, that's I guess that's for me is why do people want to create the conflict? And I guess that is a pattern. I know that a lot of my childhood pattern was arguing. Out loud arguing. Now I've seen other families and people they don't argue. They're just super quiet at each other, which is like I think is worse. At least when you're yelling at me, I know what you're saying. But maybe these people grew up in homes where, snitching out dad because he has a beer in the garage because mom didn't want him drinking today, or snitching out mom because she got into the cupcakes and dad's been wanting her to lose weight. I'm just being very facetious, very slight examples of this. But when we have people who are always just, their life is always just an argument, and they're always in that mood. Anyway, there's a lot of things we should be thinking about, and I wish that we would really put some time into this, and how this really looks when we have people who ask questions like this, like, well, I heard that China was going to stick it to you, Mr. President. What do you think about that? Well, here's the problem. Now he not only has to manage the truth, now he has to manage the fact that you said that he was weak, and now you got to manage how he's going to show his strength but not piss off Xi at the same time, but then also not piss off the American people or piss off another part of the world. This is why I think these questions are horribly damaging. Sir, I heard that China just thinks you're the worstest ever, and they're going to sell all the guns they can to everybody else because they don't like you. And Trump's like, shut up. Why do you ask stupid questions like that? I've now got to come up with a 12-part answer to satisfy everybody's angle because you got to ask a question because you think it's fun. And that's what he's talking about. It's not that he doesn't want to answer the question, not that the answer isn't going to be accurate, but he's got to make sure and massage it through because you set up 100 bear traps about Xi Jinping and all these other and this and that, the Republicans and the Democrats and the See, that's one of the things I refer to in my show. If anybody has been on my show and they've have been interviewed by me, I will always say there's going to be no gotcha questions. I'm not going to ask you a question that's going to put you in jeopardy. I want to ask questions so that you just tell me what you want me to hear. Me trying to get you to answer questions and just making you lie to me, that's not going to be productive. If you just give me the things you want me to hear, I can figure it out. I know what's going on. But why do people think it's okay to create a bear trap and a question and then look at the person and go, well, now answer it. Mr. Trump, answer that. I made you an impossible question to get away from. Blah, 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 blah. Answer my question. I am most powerful. I'm a media. Media, we're the bestest ever. Media. I hate, and here, you know what, guys, I'll do a little confession for you. When I go get media passes, there's one right there. Another one there. Yeah, press pass. I hate it. I hate being press. I would rather be anything else but press. I'm serious. It's like, and it's like, I know being press, that allows me to have access and this and that, but I just don't like being press. I'm not press. I'm not those guys. I'm a guy who wants to hear the stories. And listen, guys, I've had people on my show over the years now that a lot of them I don't agree with. I may agree on something, or I may not agree with anything, or I may agree 100%, or I may be in, oh my gosh, ooh and ah, whatever. But my point is that when someone comes on the show and they are talking to me, I want them to feel comfortable and give me the version of them, and I don't want to have to try to push them into a corner. Now, I've had people come on here, and I have had to lead them all the way through every question and every answer and really pull the answer out. And some people are just not good at it being interviewed. They may have a story to tell, but they're not storytellers. So anyway, I look around the world we have, and I think we could do a lot of great things. I really do. And I miss the fact that this situation like what we've had with Fauci, what we've had with this whole war thing going on, what we're having with Israel, what we're having with China, what we're having with the press, what we're having. Guys, every single one of these people have got some damage from their childhood, okay? Trump's got something. Everybody's got something, right? Some people get over it. Some people drag it with them their whole life. Now, why do these reporters do things that tries to put our country into jeopardy only because it seems like it gets them a job or makes them popular? I'm so popular. I get to be Fauci-like popular. Popular, oh yeah, popular, ooh, yeah. Ooh. Being popular is not a big deal. It's how you handle yourself. Everybody can know you, but how do you handle you? Obviously, Fauci wasn't able to handle it properly. He got himself in trouble. Hey, Terrence William, good to see you, man. Kevin Stevens, Terrence William in the house. Got both of you going. Good job. Oh, what is this? Netanyahu defines Mandani's arrest threats as polymark gives 85% odds of New York visit. Well, let's hear this one. Old Benji here. What's Benji got to say? Or what's Benji? Despite repeated threats from New York Mandani's mayor, Mandani the mayor, against Israel's prime minister, prediction markets are signaling overwhelming confidence that the Israeli leader will be traveling to New York before September 30th. So let me do a little bit of something with you here, guys. I have been invited. I have been a part of. I have had discussions with. I've had big Zoom calls with the International Criminal Court. Okay, ICC is a criminal court that, again, the authority is only given if you give it to it. You cannot give authority to something if you don't have it to give. And the sad part of it is the International Criminal Court, which is where a lot of people talk about where, Nancy and Hillary and Uncle Bill were all supposed to go down to Gitmo. And the sad part of it is this whole idea that he's saying the ICC is put out a warrant for his arrest. Well, the problem is when he says it the way he does and makes it a public statement in that way, it really takes away from the authority of that. Now, here's the other thing. That the judges down here in Sedgwick County, Kansas, or up in the Supreme Court of Kansas, or the Supreme Court of America, their only ability to waive authority is if a guy with a badge and a gun is willing to kill you to bring you in. And that's not me being extreme. I'm saying that is the authority that person has, is to kill you to bring you in. if you resist up to death, they will bring you in. So when he talks about the International Criminal Court of things, what is the who is the enforcement coming from? I can say, well, I'm Jim Price, International Courts of Gigabagoos, and you're guilty. And I write it down, and I type it up, and I put it on a website, and then what? If nobody goes and arrests you, and nobody goes and makes a thing and puts you in my jail. But see, here's the problem is, as a society, we've created huge jailing systems. We have huge privatized and offshore cells. By the way, guys, there are more prison ships in the water than you want to know. There are entire cargo ships that look exactly like a cargo ship in transit. It's just another ship going nowhere, and it literally is welded together, and it's all one big prison ship inside. Guys, that's nothing new. They've been doing it for decades, if not centuries. They were doing this back with England. They had prison ships. They were sending people to Australia as a prison island. If you were considered to be, they didn't want to put you to death, but they didn't want you around. They sent you to Australia. That's how Australia was actually considered to be a populated continent, is because they sent all the criminals down there. And so they had a huge criminal, the whole thing was everybody was mating and having babies with criminals. So a lot of people look at Australians as a little bit edgy because they're willing to go there. So anyway, according to Polymarket, which is actually a gaming site or a wagering site, or a site where you can go say, I think that Trump will trip walking up the stairs into Air Force One before January 31st. And I'm going to put $20 on it, and it returns, and it'll say, oh, okay, well, we predict that he won't, and you say he will, so you'll get a 2-to-1 on your money. So I put $30 in, I'll get $60 back. Anyway, the probability that Netanyahu will visit New York before the end of September has climbed to approximately 85%, reflecting traders' belief that the trip will proceed despite the political controversy surrounding it. Well, what happens in September? September 11th. Is Benji going to is he scheduled to do a 9/11 memorial thing this year? Or whatever it is. The controversy began after Mandandi declared that Netanyahu came to New York. He believed the Israeli leader would be arrested in connection with the International Criminal Court warrant over alleged war crimes in Gaza. However, Mandandi later acknowledged that New York City has no legal authority to carry out such arrests, instead urging the federal government to take action. I mean, come on, man. See, again, this is the problem. President Trump has sharply criticized Mandandi in recent weeks, accusing the New York mayor of embracing radical left-wing politics, including hostility towards Israel. Again, I don't have hostility to any country on earth. I don't. Do I believe that we should be doing things for other countries? No. Do I believe that our relationship with Mossad is way too cozy? Yes. Do I believe that that country can figure out its own shit and we don't need to be over there playing with it and giving them $80 billion or whatever it is a year? Yes. They don't need our billions. They don't need our weapons. Oh, yeah, they do. By the way, we build the entire Iron Dome that they have over there. We designed it, built it, and we actually still arm it too. All the weapons that they use, all that. Well, yeah. It's actually Raytheon. Raytheon, if you look them up in the stock market, Raytheon is actually who builds all that. And so when they're shooting off those thousands of rounds of ammunition up into the sky, chasing down drones and missiles and all that, every single one of those is dollars in the pocket of Raytheon. Those are all brand new dollars coming in. So a lot of times this is, we talk about the industrial war complex. We're not talking about the fact that they want us to go to war. They just want us to use up the munitions. They want us to buy new planes. They want us to buy new trucks. They want to buy new tanks. They want to buy new bombs. Well, those are expired bombs. Those go bad after a while. Wink, wink. And the point of it is though that's why we get rid of a lot of the stuff is that we do have that. But get this. I do know when we guys, this is firsthand knowledge. I do know during Uncle Barry's administration that we were limited on how much fuel that we could spend on keeping pilots certified. Did the federal government inside of the military says that to maintain your certificate of a F-16 pilot, you have to do these many hours of training per month. If you don't do that, then you're not maintaining your certificate, and then you lose it. Guys, the world we are all playing these games in, why don't we just stop? Stop with the Benji stuff. Stop with supporting countries that hate us. Stop with all that. Can we just not do that anymore? I'm really getting tired of it all. Fatigue, I guess. Battle fatigue. But anyway, I just was looking at how this stuff is coming down, and I think that there's a lot of opportunities for us to get better on this. This whole thing with Benji going there, 9/11, all this, what is, what isn't, I don't know. I do know that there's something coming, and I know it's coming faster than we wanted to. I do believe 2030 is a very big pivotal point for this country and for the globe for that matter. I know that a lot of things in AI are going to get very serious in the next 2 to 3 years, and I think it's closer to 2 years than 3 years when your passwords won't matter anymore because there'll be nothing that is not hackable. Everything will be truly hackable in an instant without much effort at all. So just think about where our worlds are going in the future here, but be mindful, keep your head on a swivel, and get your heart right. Be the right person at the right time. It doesn't matter if you live in a communist regime or you live in a place where there's not even a law or anybody around to even bother you. It's about who you are inside of here that makes it all the difference. So all the difference in the world is who you are as your character inside. So we can have the freest of free and the everything of everything, or we can be a lockdown, wear your jumpsuit like your prison every single day. But if your heart isn't right, you're going to be a piece of shit in this communist thing, or you're going to be a piece of shit in the freedom thing. All right, guys, that's going to be about for me. That's going to be about it for me. Remember the 10% we do for our neighbor, community, city, county, state, the federal government. The more you do for them, the less they have to do for you. Learn how to be selfless and not so damn selfish. There will be a far, far better place. Remember, hold the line, hold fast, do not give up, do not give in. We'll win. I promise. I don't make promises I can't keep, guys. You've always been the answer out there. Remember that Constitution limits the government, but never limits you, guys. Please know that this is a constitutional representative republic and not a democracy. Know your words. And by the way, guys, I got some stuff I'm working on here, some language path stuff, some other things to see what I can do about gaining knowledge and understanding of the human mind and the abilities of the body. So just keep that in mind, and I'll let you guys know what I'm doing. But I still am doing my bi-weekly health and wellness classes here in Wichita. Every other Wednesday, we are meeting down in College Hill. And so down at College Hill, we have a place there, so we'll meet. That's going to be next Wednesday, this coming Wednesday. And so anybody guys are in the local area that want to go to that, let me know. We'll get you the address to that. But we do a health and wellness every other Wednesday and the College Hill area. So if you guys are local, let me know. Guys, if you're also having any other health questions or any things like that, let me help you be a part of that. We do a lot of wellness coaching here, but also remember we have our Silly Gnome, we have our C60, we have our Snoot Spray, we also have our My Pillow promo code price. We also have all these different things out there for you guys. Now listen, if you guys are looking for good products, you're wanting good health practices, you're wanting to get better, I have changed my look of my body and how I feel and how I sleep in ways that I didn't even begin to understand. I thought I was doing great 10 years ago. I thought I fixed a few things. I thought I had all nailed it up. And I'm going to tell you right now that I've known about where I was and where I am now, I know that I have so much further to go, but there is a easy path just every day moving forward. and I can do it. But a lot of you guys, if you want to come with me, want to be a part of it, let me know, and we can do that. Also, don't forget to donate to the show as often as possible. Go to thejimpriceshow.com, thejimpriceshow.com. Go over there to donation page and click on that. Maybe $100 a month, whatever you want to do. That way we can keep the lights on here, because it does take money to run this thing. So, all right, that's about it for me, guys. I'm Jim Price, the Jim Price Show Daily Update. You guys all be good to each other out there, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.